Chapter 118. But should we tell him this news now? It's not a good idea. The hardest thing for humans to control is their own thoughts. Han Wei's mood seemed fairly stable. If the news was told to him at this time, it would inevitably affect his train of thought. Han Wei, are you feeling scared now? Tijia asked cautiously. Not really. Han Wei shook his head calmly. It's brightly lit here, and there doesn't seem to be any danger. That's good. Officer Lee noticed that Tijia was actually a bit flustered. But nobody knows which will come first, an accident or tomorrow. Han Wei looked up at the sky wistfully. Tijia, do you think we'll never be able to get out of here? Don't. Tijia stepped forward and covered Han Wei's mouth. A bead of cold sweat slowly trickled down his forehead. Han Wei, calm down. We will definitely get out of here. Han Wei nodded slightly after hearing that, and Kaijia took his hand away. Tijia, I don't know why, but I trust you a lot. Han Wei said. You're like a character I once wrote. In the final chapter of the story, he overcame an insurmountable difficulty. It's good that you think so. Tijia forced a wry smile. With me here, don't worry. Looking at Xia's expression, also seemed to think of something. Could inviting disasters be the same as having a jinx? Yes. Han Wei, don't let your thoughts run wild. Officer Lee said belatedly. Tijia and I will lead everyone out of here. Han Wei felt that the two people in front of him were a bit strained. What's wrong with you two? Officer Lee and Kaijia exchanged a glance, and the words got stuck in their throat. And nothing. The top priority now was to find a way to turn off Han Wei's echo. Otherwise, with his astonishing imagination, the train might drop to the playground, and a meteor shower might fall from the sky. You two are really strange. Han Wei sighed. You called me to the middle of the playground in the middle of the night, but you didn't make things clear. Tijia felt that his mind was a bit chaotic. The known echoers didn't seem to possess ordinary superpowers at all. They didn't have supernatural abilities like flying through the sky or traveling underground. Instead, their powers developed in a strange Han Wei could summon disasters. Zhang Ozu could forcibly establish a logical relationship between two unrelated things. And Officer Lee could conjure up things that didn't exist out of thin air. And that woman named Zhao Xiao didn't move a muscle when she killed Kayao Jiajin and Tian. She just ate a bowl of meat, and then everyone fell to the ground. Tijia remembered that her echo was called framing. In that case, it could be boldly speculated that Zhao Xiao did poison people, but she didn't need to put the poison in everyone's bowls at all. She just needed to put it in her own bowl. Then she could frame her own poisoning and complete the murder. Tijia showed a wry smile. In the real world, anyone who put forward such an inference would surely be considered crazy. But in the land of the Ant, this kind of inference was strangely convincing. I'm a bit sleepy. Han Wei stretched. Aren't you going back to sleep? We'll have another cigarette. You go first, Officer Lee said. All right then. Han Wei nodded. I'll go first. You two should also go to bed early. After saying that, he turned around and walked towards the brightly lit teaching building. On the way, he seemed to meet Zhang Shao, and the two of them chatted as they disappeared into the distance. Now only Tijia and Officer Lee were left. There was nothing left to hide. Tijia turned around and asked directly, Officer Lee, do you still remember your echo? My echo? He frowned, as if trying to recall something. Did I echo last time? I only remember that I smoked a cigarette and then lost consciousness. The problem lies in that cigarette, Tijia said. You took out a clean quartz cigarette from an old cigarette box. Do you remember that? Tijia knew that this question was a bit difficult for Officer Lee. His situation at that time was very bad. He had lost a lot of blood, and was even accompanied by severe pain and a blurred consciousness. I seem to have a bit of an impression. Officer Lee nodded. Quartz is a specialty cigarette in Inner Mongolia. A pack costs 100 yuan. I vaguely remember that I seem to have smoked a quartz, before I died. I had no idea where it came from. What about the lighter? Pigeon touched his pocket and found that the lighter was long gone, so he could only gesture with his hand. A well-used Zippo lighter. It looked like a fairly common style. Officer Lee was stunned. How do you know about this lighter? It was a gift that Juan Juan bought for me with her lucky money. I always carried it with me. Tijon nodded. Then I understand. Officer Lee, I suspect that your echo is very powerful and can conjure up anything you want out of thin air. What are you talking about? Officer Lee's eyes widened instantly. Are you saying that not only did I echo, but I even conjured up the lighter that Chuan Chuan gave me? Yes, I, Lin Tian, and lawyer Zhang witnessed your echo with our own eyes. It's just that now, apart from me, there are no other witnesses. Officer Lee lowered his head with a very complicated expression on his face. What's wrong with you? Tizhou asked. Tizhou, can only echo words retain their memories? That's what I've heard. And I will hear the echo when I'm on the verge of death. Yes. Tizhou nodded again. Officer Lee slowly raised his head and said, I seem to have found a way to escape from here. What? Tizhou turned to look at Officer Lee. What's the way? Find a way to make me die. Officer Lee looked up and said seriously, put me in a near-death state. Tizhou frowned. Are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy. Officer Lee's eyes kept flickering, as if he had been constantly judging the feasibility of this plan in his mind. After a while, he said, I'll try to take out 600 Dao when I'm on the verge of death, so that you all can get out. Although I don't know exactly how to activate this ability, I will definitely sense something when I'm on the verge of death. His eyes were very serious, and he didn't seem to be joking at all. A Dao is as big as a walnut. How could a normal person carry 600 of them on their body? Tizhou thought this plan was too risky. I don't think it's reliable. Let's think about other options. If it doesn't work the first time, we'll try a second time. If it doesn't work the second time, we'll try a third time. Officer Lee said seriously. I'll make sure everyone survives.